Here we are on part 2 of our retrospective of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, and now we get to the remake of the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, a little history for this. Now, I remember when I first seen the trailer for this, when it was attached to the butterfly effect. I gotta admit, man, when I first saw it, I thought it was pretty fucking scary.
Yeah, it was. I remember that. Cheer.
When it does the camera like the original movie,
and they made it actually feel like it's a real life fucking documentary.
Yeah. But also, what threw me off was, keep in mind, when I first seen this film, I had no acknowledgement of the original movie. I actually had to go, when I went to Blockbuster, that's only when I knew that the original movie existed.
See, now, because I'm a lot older than him, I actually seen this movie in theaters.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, basically what you have is, the film was produced by, as we talked before, we had, it was Michael Bay's production, Platinum Dunes, which I'm very mixed about as far as their films.
Ain't this the first ever remake?
It is. Yeah, it's the first remake produced by Platinum Dunes by Michael Bay, which I'll admit that I'm very mixed on their movies. Like, they've had a lot of bad ones, but they've had some good ones too, so... Yeah. This one, basically, it follows a similar plot like the original film, where you have a group of teenagers going... Well, first it opens with a very cool, opening prologue where it shows the cops, cops going in to investigate the aftermath of the events that happened. Yeah. Where it gives you this very cool documentary style where it's actually showing it almost
showing
looks
us files and all that.
It shows files of the Hewitt family, which are now it's called the Hewitt family now. But you get these cops that are investigating this case of the Hewitt family, and you see really cool footage of authentic kind of footage that they use for investigating the murders and stuff.
Yeah, and the cop really fucking going down, he gets hurt, and he finding all the there's documentary of a police a police video, and they're going down, and they're seeing all these really authentic looking the nail where the nail scratched and all that.
The clot of hair,
the clot of hair, and then next you have Leatherface
Yeah. Well,
and then they cut off into saying, let's talk about the movie.
Yeah, it bookends both. It's in the beginning and the end. So the story goes where, much like the original film, you have a group of teenagers that are going on their way. They're going to a concert for Leonard Skinner.
And this one stars
Jessica Biel and
the dude
Eric Balfour.
Yeah,
and you also get the dude from Hostage. From Jonathan Tucker.
Yeah.
And you get the dude from that skateboard movie, I forgot what it was called.
Lord Dogtown?
No, what was it called? Not You Got Served. There's that other one that had Tom Green in it.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyway, it basically has them going on a road trip. Once again, it's like the original film. They pick up a hitchhiker. Only this time they change it where the hitchhiker is actually escaping from Leatherface.
She was a victim.
Yeah, and she escaped from Leatherface. And this time, what I really love about this opening scene where they pick her up is you can see the intensity on herself, where she's crying and all that.
It looks realistic. It looks she went through fucking hell.
Yeah. And she pulls a gun, which is kind of weird, because she pulls it out of her pussy.
Yeah.
And she pulls it out and she blows her fucking head off. I'm like, holy shit, that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So they have to deal with her, basically, her body in the van, and then
they go and look. They want to tell the cops.
Yeah. First they want to tell the cops because they come across this gas station where they talk to the
clerk.
The clerk.
Yeah.
Where they talk to the clerk, and she's telling them that the only way you're going to be able to deal with this is with the sheriff. So they call a sheriff in, and here is where we get introduced to one of my favorite characters of the entire franchise.
Yeah,
besides Leatherface, Arlie Emery, who plays Sheriff Hoyt. And I tell you, when I first seen the movie, I was like, wait, this is a real sheriff? Because this sheriff's kind of throwing me off, because I don't think a sheriff would do this kind of shit. Because the sheriff is basically saying, get them all kinds of verbally abusing them and all that, and he's telling them don't get that shit out of my fucking trunk.
Well, the clerk is part of the family, and she pretty much sets them up to where they have to go to the Hewitt farm. That's where they meet Hoyt, Sheriff Hoyt, which is played by Arlie Emery, like you said, and I'm sorry. I think this is probably like one of the best all-time cussing dudes ever.
Yeah.
His insults, and he still brings the... I'm sorry, but I really have a soft spot for this because I love it so much. I love his Full Metal Jacket. He still carries that
verbal abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he's basically talking shit to the people, talking to the...
Yeah, and he's part of the family. He's the grandpa.
You find out later in the film that he's actually part of the family, and he's verbally abusing them and saying, don't get that fucking shit on my car.
You guys, she's kind of wet there. You guys been fucking with her?
Yeah, but also, what I love, too, is that Arlie Emery...
Not only that, he also gets, with his comedy, he gets it really intense, where he's like, put the gun in her mouth now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of intense scenes where he's, like, taunting the kids in the movie.
Yeah.
Where he's having them, like, it's like, you show me how she fucking did it. He's like, I love scenes like that. But also, I love the way that he's talking shit to the kids and all that. Just, because I'm a big Arlie Emery fan, I just love the way he actually says his lines. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, we get to where, we finally out to Leatherface, where it's Eric Bulfer and Jessica Biel's characters. They go to the house.
They pretty much kind of like it's like a really straight remake-ish type
kind
film.
of. They go into that field where they're going off their own, but only this time, instead of Jessica Biel getting killed off, they have it to where Jessica Biel and Eric Bulfer are going to the house, and they discover that funny kind of wheelchair dude where he's like, "What the hell are you doing in my house?"
Like, you don't know what the fuck you're fucking with.
Yeah, I do
that
like
dude's
that guy.
A pretty good guy. Yeah,
I do like him.
Yeah.
And he's got... And then Leatherface... Well, first of all, we get to where Leatherface comes out first, and he fucking hits the dude, like the original film. He hits the dude in the back of the head while he's watching a cartoon show.
That kind of reminded me off the scene of Twilight Zone, the movie, where the kid's watching the cartoonish, the old school cartoonish. Mm-hmm. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. But... I gotta admit, though, like, for the look they gave Leatherface, he's fucking scary in this movie.
Yeah, he is fucking scary as shit. And, you know what? For an actual almost kind of... I will say that, the downfall it is, like, a lot of it is a remake feel instead of a reboot, which reboots are actually doing your own idea. Remake is kind of copying from the original. I do kind of say, I can agree with you in some parts, but I still think that it still worked. And I loved how they introduced other families in the film, like where like Jessica Biel thought she got away. She went to this trailer, and it was this really fucked up family.
That fat woman,
and that
skinny, like kind of bald headed woman.
And they took the baby from that chick that blew her fucking brains out in the movie.
Yeah. Which that threw me out. I was like, holy shit, they knew the person.
Yeah,
you know. But also, what I love too is. This is probably since the first film. This is the first time we actually get to where Leatherface is actually doing a lot more scarier shit than we did in the other movies.
And then it has a really creepy fucking score in this film.
I love that score they played.
And then he's it shows a lot of detail of him of actually sewing the skins and shit.
My only complaint is I love the scene where he cuts the girl and you see he has the face of the girl's Jessica Biel's boyfriend where he's wearing his skin. I love that scene because it was actually cool that he actually wore one of the victims' skin over
without
his face.
Detail of him having to work on it. He just puts it over his face.
Yeah. My only complaint is that the film, much like, I mean, I guess it was the same as the original film. The film didn't really have much of a... actually, no. This film I do like as far as the chainsaw killings. We get two of them. We get the one where he kills the girl.
He cuts that dude's leg.
He actually cuts him in the balls. Because he hangs him up on a chandelier and then he cuts him in the balls. Yeah. Which I thought was really good.
Well, that part where he got that kid in the legs. And then he gets that one dude who, one of their side friends, he cuts through his chest and all that. In that, broken down home. That one where, they're in that home that's kind of, fucking abandoned and shit. And he gets that one dude in the chest. The one with the glasses.
Yeah. What I was saying was... him, he hangs up on the chandelier and he cuts him in the balls. Yeah. Yeah, he cuts him in the balls because the only one that he kills besides that is the girl from earlier. Yeah. The other girl.
And then he gets that blind guy in the legs.
He cuts him in the legs, which I thought was fucking... Dude, that scene where he puts the salt in his fucking legs, I thought was fucking vicious.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, so Leatherface is... I can say right now, Leatherface in this film really brought me back like the first film where he does a lot of really brutal shit.
Yeah, and it was more the Platinum Dunes, which is pretty much got like in my opinion, they got like an 80% fail rate on reboots.
Yeah.
But this is one of the doable films. I'm going to go 8 out of 10 on this one.
I'm going to give it 8.5 because I do like how they also capture the look of the film too, like how it looks, even though it looks very more clean.
And then I like how they closed it out where like it shows him killing the sheriff.
Yeah.
It was like the name. That's what we call the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah. And also there was another alternate ending they had in mind that I saw on the DVD, the special edition DVD, where it showed an alternate ending where it shows Jessica Biel's character years later, where they said that Leatherface never got caught because it shows a flashback where it shows a current like present day scene where the FBI are searching for I think it was the FBI that was searching for Leatherface and they couldn't find any traces of him.
Yeah.
So I thought that ending would probably be cool.
would have been better. Yeah.
But
it was good.
It was a good remake for what they did for Platinum Dunes, one of its earlier films. I thought they did a good remake.
Yeah.
You know.
So now
we get to the prequel to the remake. Called Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. Which the first time I watched this, I was a little thrown off because when I saw the trailer, I was like,
I was thrown off by the trailer because I didn't even hear anything about it coming out, and just like, and then I will say the trailer was pretty creepy because it did the part where the one I remember the most was the one where the original mother from the first one, she's like, Mockingbird.
Yeah, that was creepy. But I also liked how. But what threw me off in the trailer was there was a scene where Sheriff Hoyt is like standing inside on the road, and you're led to believe that the kids, like the group, are going to crash into him. But no, it's actually something else. I was like, that's kind of weird. But also, what threw me off in the trailer was the fact that well, first of all, I knew that it was going to be a prequel, but it's like, why do a fucking prequel? You know?
Prequels I don't like because they're so predictable. And there are some that do work and it's very rare that can blow you away. But with these type films, prequels don't work because you know where it's going to land.
Yeah, so basically we have it.
Why? Because in the first one, they talk about the first 5 youths that died. So they're talking about the ones that we are going to see in this film. Yeah.
So basically, this one elaborates the early years of Leatherface when he was younger and how he got his mask and stuff. Which, on paper, I do like the idea how you're seeing Leatherface come to be where he's actually starting out killing.
I do like the opening where the music.
Yeah.
And it's showing like all the decay of his face.
Yeah. And what I do like,
the woman that gave birth of him in that thing that was pretty brutal.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. No, I like the what they set up with it. It's just that because what they set up with it is Leatherface originally he was born in a garbage in a dumpster. Like he was abandoned. He was abandoned in a dumpster
at the meat place
because this woman gives birth and then they discover that this there was like this hideous baby and then they put
died too.
She died of childbirth. Yeah. They put the baby in the dumpster, and then we see the woman, the mother from the first film, discovers her at a young age, and she takes him home. And then we also see a young Arlie Emery taken as a guardian of him too,
and saying, he's the ugliest motherfucker I've ever seen." That was funny.
But also, and then now we get introduced to where Leatherface is now working at a meat plant, which is cool because through the first 5-10 minutes or about the first hour, he's wearing a mask.
Now this movie takes more of a Vietnam Great Depression feel because Leatherface is actually being like a civilized guy working and all that. Well, Leatherface has come to terms that the owner of the plant is closing down, and that's the last working factory in that entire region. They would not have no more jobs.
And it's a meat packing factory, which is ironic because, as we all know...
Well, I like the idea.
That's what I'm saying. It's ironic because Leatherface and the family are cannibals.
Yeah, meat,
So, this film actually...
And then he ends up killing the owner.
He kills the owner with the fucking, the same mallet.
That was
the same
brutal.
Where he bashes his head so many times.
The part where he takes out his kneecaps. Mm-hmm. Oh my fucking God, that hurt, dude. It made me grab my knees. I was like, ooh.
And then we get to where he actually discovers a chainsaw, too. Now, here's what also got me really pumped for it. So we got the return of Arlie Emery, who comes in, and this is where we actually get to see him actually being the sheriff. Because
he went from sheriff to actually being bad. This is when he first takes...
Yeah, this is where he actually started out as just a regular guy.
Actually, he wasn't sheriff. He was actually a regular guy. He's riding with the sheriff. The sheriff was telling him how the town has pretty much died now.
Yeah.
It's a dead town. There ain't nothing gonna... There is nothing in sight. Like, nobody's gonna ever drive by or go through this town, all that stuff. And he's actually saying... he tells Arlie Emery, I'm here to arrest your grandson for murder.
Yeah, so he gets out of the car, and then we see that, well, it's kind of... This is what kind of throws me off, because we already fucking know
what's going to happen. We already know what's going to happen.
But just the idea, just the whole thing where he becomes sheriff is because he kills the sheriff, and then he takes on his uniform.
And you slowly see him put on the uniform.
Put on the hat and everything. Yeah. You know, so I thought that was cool that they actually let us believe.
And he licks the blood and the guts off that dude, and he goes, what did he say? I just did kill the whole sheriff's department.
Yeah.
I love Arlie Emery's comedy, dude.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, before we get into detail, I'll tell you right now, Arlie Emery steals every fucking scene.
This is an Arlie Emery movie.
This is a Sheriff Hoyt movie. This is more... Because this is my biggest problem. Like, I love it, but I love what they do with the character, but at the same time, I'm like, this is more of a Sheriff Hoyt movie.
Well, then again, to be fair, through all the other ones, other than part one... Every other movie after part one of the original, he's overshadowed anyways.
Well, true, but this one, we were supposed to believe that this is supposed to be the true origins.
Yeah, the true origins, and it would have been cool to see more of an origin.
That's what I'm saying. This one overshadows Leatherface by having Sheriff Hoyt, which I love because
it's a love / hate. Mm-hmm. You love Arlie Emery's character so much you want to see him have his own film, but it's a hate because this was supposed to be pretty much the real beginning of Leatherface.
Yeah, so we get it to where we get these new characters, which, like the other movie, they go on a road trip, and they're going to Vietnam, because one of them is supposed to be going to Vietnam. And
he's taking his brother with him, and all that, and his brother defies it and says, I'm not going, and burns his card and all that.
Yeah. And so they get into a car wreck, which actually, that scene where they crash into the cow? Didn't that kind of remind you of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2?
Yeah.
Where they crash into the same kind of segue, where I'm like, what the well, actually, I think that's more Halloween 2, where they took that scene out of it, you know? Yeah. But anyway, they crash, and then they realize that they're not that far from the Hewitt house, where now we get into Sheriff Hoyt, who investigates the scene, where it's actually, because what happens is they're set up, they get, the reason why this accident happens is because it was because there was a biker gang where this woman was actually trying to like fuck with them and stuff, and then they get in a wreck, and then Sheriff Hoyt comes out of nowhere and fucking blows her away, blows the biker woman away, and then she takes the women, which this is my favorite line in the movie, where he's like, get out of the fucking car, I'm gonna blow your fucking head off.
Yeah. And you start seeing the transformation of him actually becoming Hoyt we seen in the first film and this film.
Yeah.
Where you see the transformation where he's actually like, alright, I'm gonna fucking slaughter you motherfuckers.
Yeah, and what I like better about this one is, unlike the remake, they actually do go more into detail with the cannibalism. Because the remake kind of really just hinted at it. This one, they're fucking cannibals.
Yeah.
So, they take them to the house, and now, this is my favorite part, where Sheriff Hoyt puts the two boys like hanged up with their arms like on this rope or whatever.
And this is where you get the Full Metal Jacket feel to the movie.
Where he's torturing them and basically torturing them, and he makes the older brother who thinks is the one going to Vietnam. Yeah. He makes him he fucking tortures his ass by putting a plastic bag over his head and all that.
Well, anyways, this movie kind of takes more of a war movie type feel to it, because this is all done because one of them ended up burning their vet card. Hoyt is actually a vet from Korea. Yeah, and he's pissed off that somebody would not be so patriotic. So this movie kind of does like a Full Metal Jacket. It turns itself into kind of a patriotic, like a war movie, and it kind of throws the movie off what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it goes, and I love the concept, but I feel like also they're spending too much time in the war part. So
yeah, because they don't go into actual war, but just
they
the whole
talk about
the monologues they have.
Hoyt is so addicted to military, which we already know. Arlie Emery is a big military guy, But I feel like that's the problem a little bit with the film.
But that's what I love is that the fact that he's basically making him say, look, the only way you got to survive was much like how I was in Korea. You got to eat. So, are you going to be the motherfucker that eats, or are you going to be the motherfucker that gets ate? Yeah. So
I did like that part. Yeah, that was pretty brutal.
So really, every line that comes out of Hoyt is always gold.
Yeah, this is gold in this film, really.
Yeah. So basically, he's torturing him for an hour because really, other than probably later in the film, Leatherface doesn't really get much attention.
I gotta praise that they even brought that one family from the first one.
The trailer park lady.
Yeah, the trailer people.
Yeah.
And I did like that everybody returned for these characters.
Even the wheelchair guy.
Yeah, even the wheelchair guy. And it shows where he's walking.
Yeah, because it shows how he actually got his legs cut off.
Yeah, and he had Leatherface cut him off. And he's like, shut up, you old fuck. Yeah, I did love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I do like that. So I do like what they did as far as like tying up loose ends with the first film.
Let's just say that we don't want to go into too much detail. Unfortunately, what's so bad about prequels is we already know with Texas Chainsaw we already knew they were all going to die. There wasn't much of ambiguous ending. They all end up dying. No one survives. Leatherface survives. It basically leads into Jessica Biel. We already knew that. That's where this movie was overall, other than Arlie Emery, this movie was pretty much bland and
other than probably the Sheriff Hoyt scenes, and I'll give it this. I do like the death they had with the biker. The biker dude that gets cut up by Leatherface. Yeah. That's the only Leatherface part I like. The rest of the film, Leatherface is fucking useless.
Yeah, this is like his most useless movie I've ever seen.
Because at least
and this was actually supposed to be, which we are getting next year, the real beginning where he's actually going to show him progress as a child on up. This is what this film was supposed to be.
Yeah. Other than the opening scene, with the guy he works for, and then the biker dude, Leatherface doesn't really do shit in this movie.
No, he doesn't.
Like, he does kill people, but they're not as memorable as those two deaths.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I'm going to go with a 5 out of 10.
I'm going to get probably a 5.5 out of 10. Like, I do like some of the other characters I liked a little more than you did.
Yeah.
But I do understand it. It's one of those movies that I can still watch, mainly for
watch
Arlie Emery. Because Arlie Emery holds the fucking movie.
It's one of the few times I can say I can give somebody a 5 out of 10, yet I will still revisit the film because I like somebody so much.
Yeah.
It's really rare, so it's a 5 out of 10 with me.
Yeah, it's about a 5.5 out of 10 for me. And now, between this and the next film we're going to talk about, basically they took a break, because originally, here's a little backstory. They took a break for a while to make another Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, because
which would have been cool, because we were actually supposed to get
part 3,
a continuation after Bill.
Yeah, because
which I would have loved.
What they wanted to do was originally they wanted to do a part 3 or a sequel to the remake, because in 2009 they were going to have it come out.
And they had a good concept with that one. It was going to actually make that child years later where she's actually like 16 or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that baby. They were going to go 16 later, and it was going to bring Bill as an old, like in her 40s at the time. And it was actually going to bring a more up-to-date, but holy shit, the concept of that? Oh my god, that would have I would respect the beginning better if they would do that.
We get to 2013's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D.
Oh, what was the reason why they couldn't continue it? It was something that went...
Well, the reason why they couldn't continue with the franchise was because basically Bay and Company didn't want to produce any more films. So I think what happened was they sold the rights to another company, Lionsgate, which I do like, but fuck. They got a hold of the rights, and they decided to do something completely different. So now we get to Texas Chainsaw 3D, which the idea was that they're supposed to be taking the original film and making a direct sequel without having to continue the rest of the film.
So basically, what happens was, when they take over 3D, when Texas Chainsaw 3D comes out, when they started productions, they want to say that 2 through 4, I could maybe argue 3 and 4, 2... would never happen. That was not a true sequel.
Yeah.
They're saying that none of the films afterwards was never a true sequel.
It's only a true sequel to the first film.
Yeah.
So this is what they had in mind. So, granted, on paper, I do like the concept by basically making a direct sequel where it's... it's modern times, you have Leatherface, because the whole script is, it's Leatherface in modern times, years after the first film, which is cool, but... This movie, I could say, for all the problems I had with some of the previous movies, this, I can say, is the absolute fucking worst.
This right here is my ultimate worst Leatherface movie to date. This is the absolute dog shit. I even had problems and praises for 3, 4, beginning, all them. I still give praises. This movie right here was utter fucking dog shit.
Yeah. So basically, the film sets up, which is cool because in the first 3 minutes, they do start showing footage of the first movie, which is cool in 3D because I watched the film in 3D, and the 3D they have with the movie is awesome. I do like it. And then we get into this, and here is the big problem right here. I'm going to start right now. They start with, after the first film ends, it starts immediately after the first film ends where we have a sheriff coming in with his deputies to come invade the house, to invade the house, or to come confront the Sawyer family. And here is a big fucking continuity issue. The fucking Sawyer family has other family members that are not even present from the other fucking movies that we're introduced to.
Yeah, that we're introduced to. Then we get... Sadly, Bill Moseley would sign for this role.
He's playing the grandpa character, for the cook.
Yeah,
the cook from the first one.
And in the original, Leatherface is playing some old redneck dude.
He's playing some bearded dude who's pointing guns.
So basically, like, it's cool that all these guys would do is like a send off, like all the people from the older films, but they're playing characters that fucking die in like 2 minutes. And a lot of them are playing characters that weren't even in the fucking first movie.
That's what I'm saying.
Who the fuck is that dude now?
Yeah. Here's another thing, too. How the fuck you going to tell me that the Sawyer family had families that came in at the very, not even, 10 minutes before the cops showed up?
I love you, Bill Moseley. And I love you guy that did the original Leatherface, but why did you sign off of this fucking piece of shit?
Yeah. This literally makes no sense because... Okay, if this takes place at the very end of the last movie, how the fuck are these family members going to show up in time when the cops show up?
Not only that, it felt like they were kind of hashing and copying off of Devil's Rejects.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. Only not as fucking great as the Devil's Rejects, because Devil's Rejects had a better shootout.
Yeah, a better shootout at the beginning, but man, they copied that shit.
It did. I was like, what the fuck? Is this Devil's Rejects all of a sudden?
Yeah.
So anyway, the place gets shut up, the house burns down, and then we get... This is where really fucking continuity goes out.
This is probably one of the most continuity fucking stories I've ever seen.
So we're led to believe that this woman that's in the house is also a Sawyer family, has a baby, which we knew nothing about in the other fucking movie. It has a baby that's born, and she's alive throughout years, and then she becomes either a 20-year-old or a 40-year-old, because this fucking continuity is so fucking stupid I can't tell you where this timeline takes place at.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is probably one of the worst continuity timelines I've ever seen.
Literally. Okay, so we're led to believe this. Okay, if we're putting the timeline correctly, okay, let's say, for instance, this movie took place in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
In the 70s?
Yeah.
They have years later where this woman grows up and she's working at a meat factory.
And she's supposedly 20, right?
She's supposedly 20, 25 or something.
Which blows it away because how do you... And they're going by 2013 date.
Yeah.
So how the fuck are you going to convince me that you're 20-something from 70s?
Not to mention, there's even a gravestone that happens later in the film that clearly says 2012, where it's her mother. I'm like, okay, are you telling me this fucking woman is 40 years old? Lily, this fucking woman looks nowhere near the age continuity.
I've seen. This girl looks younger than Chloe Martez. That is how young this girl looks.
Yeah.
She could probably bypass 18.
Yeah. I mean, she looks like she's in her early 20s or something.
I don't know. She couldn't even pass as teen.
But if it would have took place in the 90s, I can buy that. But the fact that it's in 2012, okay, am I supposed to believe that she's fucking 40? She doesn't look like no fucking 40-year-old.
Yeah, I don't know. This continuity was destroyed. Plus, there was an iPhone used in this film.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's clearly obvious it's in modern times. So, continuity, the timeline, blows it out. everywhere.
Yeah, this continuity is blown out. But let's just settle down the continuity so we get into the story.
The new characters where, the girl is working at a meat factory.
And she's a Sawyer.
She's a Sawyer family. We find out later that she's related, Heather is related to the Sawyer family. And she goes on a road trip with her boyfriend, played by one of the most annoying fucking actors I've ever seen, Trey Songz.
Yeah, you gotta capture, and I'm not racist, but you gotta capture the interracial
relationship.
I mean, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. I'm just saying that, really, it's so stereotypical.
Could have had a better actor, at least, because the Trey Songz was fucking bad.
Yeah,
he was really.
There's a reason why he don't act. He's just another rapper who thinks he can act.
Yeah, dude, I'll buy. Going back to Halloween H2O, I'll buy fucking LL Cool J in this.
Fuck, dude. I would. No, I'll be honest with you. What's his face from Creed?
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan could have played that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trey Songz, he is so lifeless in this fucking movie. I'm just like, dude, you are not a fucking good actor. No. So, we have him and some other characters I don't give a shit about that come in.
Everybody I didn't give a shit about. I don't really fucking care about anybody.
So they come in, much like the other films, they go on a road trip, somehow end up at the Sawyer family's house, and this is where another fucking stupidity comes. They pick up a hitchhiker who you think is not going to be, who you obviously fucking know is going to be starting some shit, where he goes to the house, finds out remember when he's actually friends with where he's actually wait, wasn't this the one where they pick up this hitchhiker who later gets killed by a Leatherface who lures the fucking people there.
And then you had this really story that really don't go anywhere. They pick up a guy and he just robs them.
Yeah, that's the hitchhiker.
Yeah, I'm like, what was really the fucking point of picking him up?
You would think, because you gotta think, nowadays,
I'm sorry, but hitchhiking is not relevant.
No, if you go and pick up a hitchhiker, you know you're gonna be fucked.
2016, no one has never picked up hitchhikers for how many years?
A long time.
So that's so 90s, 80s, 70s.
Yeah.
It just don't flow with this fucking time period. So that whole hitchhiking thing can go away now.
Yeah. So now they pick him up, and he gets picked off by Leatherface. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to say right now, I'm disappointed by Leatherface. Now, keep in mind, I was looking forward to Leatherface killing this film. I am disappointed in what he did in this movie.
Well, it's not only what he just did. His look was really ugly. He was like a fat dude. I'm like, what the fuck? And not only that, the mask kind of reminded me of how I think of Halloween 5 mask. It was just bland.
I didn't think his look was bad.
And then the whole fucking will thing, the whole thing is about she has a will. There's so much wrong. Oh, so the will just suddenly popped up in your fucking possession all of a sudden? There's so much
they waste so much opportunity with Leatherface with this film. Dude, there's a scene where he goes to a carnival and he's chasing after the characters.
Yeah.
There's clearly, obviously, bystanders around, and he doesn't fucking kill any of them.
And no one does anything.
No one does it. It's like that.
Hey!
It's like that scene off of Jason Takes Manhattan where he's going through New York. He doesn't fucking kill anybody. I'm like, what the fuck?
Don't they make fun of Saul?
Yeah, there's a scene where the dude wears a pig outfit, and he's wearing the same outfit that Jigsaw did in the movie.
Yeah,
I was like, that's kind of weird.
And then, I'm sorry, but I've done chainsaws before, and I don't recall that when you throw a chainsaw at somebody, that motherfucker's still working. I've used chainsaws. You actually have to have your finger on the trigger for it to work.
Yeah. Literally, he throws a chainsaw and it's somehow still working and hits that dude. Or it tries to hit, but then it misses. I'm like, okay, that's really illogical. But also,
they did that for the 3D.
Well, which is cool. I'll give it this. I liked the 3D in the film. But other than that, this was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Another problem I have, these characters, much like we've seen in old films, they are fucking stupid as hell.
Not to mention,
that part. I was gonna tell you this. That part where they're at the barn and him and that girl are fucking, and she's saying, "Hey, who's that fucker over there?" and then the dude just stands there. I think, from what I remember, the dude stands there for a minute, and then Leatherface chases after him, like calling Leatherface out and doing all that shit.
Yeah, like talking shit. Your standard 2016 so-called badass children. But here we forget that we also get a side villain, and that's Eastwood's son,
Scott Eastwood.
Scott Eastwood and the mayor.
Which it did. Okay, I'll give it this. Like, I was a little thrown off for the second when they introduced Scott Eastwood's character.
Yeah,
but at the same time, I was kind of like, wait a minute, they're fucking ripping off the remake, because the remake also had that where the fucking sheriff is in part of it.
Yeah, and then you had that dickhead mayor who wants to like cover everything up or some shit, or he doesn't want a Sawyer in his family.
Yeah,
when he actually finds out that the girl is a Sawyer because of the killings that happened in his town, he has motivation. He wants to kill her.
Yeah, and you talk about a fucking one of the most piss off. This is the scene that really pissed me off.
There's a part where ain't no fucking
basically we get the final confrontation where Leatherface is killing the mayor. Now, this scene right here is the reason why I fucking said fuck you to this movie, because first of all, this scene makes it where Leatherface is now sympathetic. Where you're trying to have me believe that he's a hero now because he killed the fucking evil fucking mayor.
They pretty much promoted this movie like the mayor is actually worse than Leatherface. Leatherface is actually not so bad of a guy. The mayor is the biggest dickhead. We're supposed to believe that the mayor is the biggest dickhead when he is looking out for his town that was slaughtered by this cannibal family.
Yeah,
so Leatherface is now good, let alone that fucking scene, that anticlimactic fucking piece of shit, like, kill him, cousin!
Yeah, do your thing, cuz! I'm like, my
you don't even fucking
God.
know who he is! How the fuck are you gonna tell me? Tell him, kill him, cuz you don't know shit about the dude.
That's what I'm saying. This scene right here, this doesn't even make any logical sense until the ending where we find out that she had a letter from Sally, or I'm sorry, the mother of Leatherface, whose voice, and here's what pisses me off, she's voiced by Sally, the original actress from the original movie. I'm like, oh man, why did you have to come back to this movie too?
Yeah.
Because literally, this scene would have made no fucking sense if she realized that she was a Sawyer.
Yeah. But anyways, after bitching and moaning about this film, I'm going to think hard. I'm going to have to... It's really hard, and I think I'm being nice when I say this. It's hard for me to choose. I'm going to have to go with a 1.5 out of 10. This is one of the worst films of 2013.
Yeah.
It's with... And they better pray to God that we had movies like Good Day and fucking Inappropriate Comedy. But
of 2013.
Of 2013, but... It is actually one of my worst films of 2013. It was so unwatchable. For a movie that was like an hour and 30 minutes long or whatever, it took me 4 hours to get through this film. It was that fucking painful to watch. It is a 1 out of 10 for me. It's bad.
It's a 1.5, like, or no, it's a 1 out of 10 for me too. Like,
I said 1.5.
Well, okay,
did I say 1.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 1.5 out of 10, yeah.
It's a 1.75 to me for me. Like, the only reason I give it a little more points is because of 3D. Because 3D did actually help with the film, because I love the shots they have with the chainsaws flying out. But that's very far in between, because the 3D didn't really use it that much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can't really...
So that's only just a little more. But still, this is one of the worst fucking sequels I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, yeah.
This is worse than
I'm sorry, you're not the true sequel.
No,
if the director is... watching this right now, you're not the true sequel. I'm sorry. 2, 3, 4, remake, beginning, beats your fucking ass any day of the week. You don't ever touch a fucking slasher film again and say you're the true sequel. You're not the fucking true sequel. Horrible fucking piece of dog shit.
Yeah, it's a fucking mess of a movie. And it basically makes... You're making Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning look more like the original
Oscar
film.
winning.
More like the original film compared to this piece of shit.
Yeah, I would give an Oscar to fucking beginning before I'd give an Oscar to part 4.
Yeah, even McConaughey for what he had to work with was for all the scenes that he had was miles compared to this piece of shit. Yep. So yeah, I'm giving this a 1.75. There's
1.5 for me.
Yeah, the only thing I had going for it was the 3 because I did watch it in theaters, so I do commend it for that. But even still, this is the worst Chainsaw movie ever.
Yeah.
So now. I've heard now they have announced that we're now going to get another prequel story, origin story of Leatherface called Leatherface.
Leatherface, and it's actually pretty clever because I do like the poster where it's got the chainsaw and where it says where it begins, where evil started, and it shows a little boy and in the puddle, but it's like a chainsaw he's carrying.
Yeah,
that looks fucking good. This could be potential a good beginning.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be better than this what we watched because this is just.
I'm hoping they ignored that fucking piece of shit.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, I'm all for them doing an origin story of Leatherface. I know we kind of got an origin story in the beginning, but that was more of a Sheriff Hoyt story.
Yeah, that was Sheriff Hoyt, yeah.
Yeah, this one, I'm hoping they'll at least do more elaboration on where we get more of the, like, abusive side of Leatherface, or maybe when he's younger, he gets, like, abused by his parents or something like that. Maybe that would be cool.
Yeah, but anyway,
yeah, that's really our thoughts. We thank you so much for all of y'all listening to our retrospective. Comment below and see and let us know what you guys thought about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. And if you like what you see here, you can also check us out on YouTube under our channel called Film Freaks,
or hit us up on Facebook.
Yeah, and we'll be doing more reviews here soon. We'll check you guys later. We'll see you guys later.
Later.